"That shall be given to you upstairs. I could not give it here. You will not have to read long." He left the room and Basil followed him. They walked softly, and the lamp gave fantastic shadows on the wall and staircase. When they reached the top, Dorian unlocked the door. "You want to know it, Basil?" he asked in a low voice. "Yes." "I am delighted," he answered, smiling. "You are the one man in the world who has right to know everything about me. You have had more to do with my life than you think." And he opened the door, and they went in. The room looked as if it had not been lived in for years. An old carpet, a covered picture, an empty bookcase, a chair and a table. The whole place was covered with dust, and the carpet was in holes. A mouse ran across the room. "So you think that it is only God who sees the soul, Basil? Draw that curtain back, and you will see mine." The voice that spoke was cold and cruel. "You were mad, Dorian, or playing a part," said Hallward. "You won't? Then I must do it myself," said the young man, and he drew the curtain away. A word of horror broke from the painter's lips as he saw the dreadful face on the canvas grinning at him. There was something in its expression that filled him with disgust and terror. Good heavens! It was Dorian Gray's own face that he was looking at. The horror had not yet entirely spoiled that wonderful beauty. There was still some gold in the hair and some red on the mouth. The eyes had kept something of the loveliness. Yes, it was Dorian himself. But who had done it? He seemed to recognize his own work. The idea was monstrous, yet he felt afraid. He took the lamp and held it to the picture. In the left-hand corner was his own name. But he had never done that. Still, it was his own picture. He knew it. His own picture. What did it mean? Why had it changed? He turned and looked at Dorian Gray with the eyes of a sick man. He couldn't say a word. "What does this mean?" cried Hallward at last. His own voice sounded curious in his ears. "Years ago when I was a boy," said Dorian Gray, "you met me and taught me to be proud of my good looks. One day you introduced me to a friend of yours, who explained to me the wonder of youth. You finished a portrait of me that revealed to me the wonder of beauty. In a mad moment that, even now, I don't know whether I regret or not, I made a wish. Oh, I remember it. Oh, how well I remember it. No, the thing is impossible. I tell you the thing is impossible." "Ah, what is impossible?" asked the young man. "You told me you had destroyed it." "I was wrong. It has destroyed me." "I don't believe it is my picture." "Can't you see your ideal in it?" said Dorian bitterly. "My ideal, as you call it. As you called it. There was nothing evil in it, nothing shameful. You were to me such an ideal as I shall never meet again. This is the face of a satire." "It is the face of my soul." "Christ, it has the eyes of a devil." "Each of us has heaven and hell in him, Basil," cried Dorian. Hallward turned again to the portrait and looked at it. "My God! If it is true," he said, "and this is what you have done with your life." He came nearer to the picture and examined it. It was from within that the horror had come. Through some strange inner life, the sins were slowly eating the thing away. The rotting of a corpse in a watery grave was not so fearful. Good God, Dorian, what a lesson! What an awful lesson! There was no answer. Pray, Dorian. Pray. Let us say that together. I worshipped you too much. I am punished for it. You worshipped yourself too much. We are both punished. Dorian Gray turned slowly around and looked at him. It is too late, Basil, he said. The pray means nothing to me now. Hush, don't say that. You have done enough evil in your life. My God, don't you see that terrible face smiling at us? Dorian Gray looked at the picture, and suddenly hatred for Basil Hallward came over him. The mad passion of a hunted animal came to life inside him. He hated the man who had painted that portrait. He looked wildly around. Something was shining on the table. His eye fell on it. He knew what it was. It was a knife that he had brought up some days before and had forgotten to take away with him. He moved slowly towards it. As soon as he got behind him, he quickly took it, rushed at Hallward, and dug the knife into his neck. Then he hit Hallward 3 more times. The man's head fell forwards, and the blood ran slowly across the table and down on the floor. His friend was dead. Then he threw the knife on the table and listened. He could hear nothing. He opened the door and went out. The house was absolutely quiet. No one was about. How quickly it had all been done. He felt strangely calm. Then he left the room. He did not even look at the murdered man. Many years ago the artist painted the fatal portrait. Now he had gone out of his life. That was enough. When Dorian came into the library, he saw the bag and coat in the corner. He had a secret place in his house where he hid the bag and the coat. He could easily burn them afterwards. Then he looked at his watch. It was 20 minutes to 2. He sat down and began to think. What evidence was there against him? Basil Hallward had left the house at 11. No one had seen him come in again. His servant had gone to bed. Paris. Yes, it was to Paris that Basil had gone, and by the midnight train. It would be months before people asked where he was. Months. Everything could be destroyed long before then. A sudden thought came to him. He put on his coat and went out. Then he rang the bell. In about 5 minutes his servant appeared, half-dressed, and looking very sleepy. "I am sorry, Francis," he said, coming in, "but I left the key at home. What time is it?" 10 minutes past 2, sir," answered the man, looking at the clock. 10 minutes past 2? How horribly late! You must wake me at 9 tomorrow. I have some work to do. Did anyone call this evening?" "Mr. Hallward, sir. He stayed here till 11, and then he went away to catch his train." "Oh, I am sorry I didn't see him. Did he leave any message?" "No, sir, except that he would write to you from Paris, if he did not find you at the club." "That will do, Francis. Don't forget to call me at 9 tomorrow." Dorian Gray threw his coat on the table and passed into the library. For a quarter of an hour he walked up and down the room, thinking. Then he took down his address book and began to turn over the pages. Alan Campbell, 152 Hertford Street, Mayfair. Yes, that was the man he wanted.